for Blackrock hold here with this particular key, I'd probably put together this composition, and I absolutely love it. I think that they know something here.
All right, well, this is it. Absolution, tournament life on the line. If they want to advance, they have to put up a stop, and they have to make it now. Gentlemen, take it away.
I am not surprised at all that we're seeing both teams shroud past all the trash before the first boss. They're going to go right up the first boss. I think we saw this once, this map once before, and it's literally just doing the same thing, skipping all the trash. It's a headache. And Absolution actually being a little bit ahead, just pulling the boss a little bit before.
They ran a little bit faster here, and now they're going to blow up the Amalgam of Souls. Now, one of the things to look out for with this boss is he's going to spawn some ads around the outskirts of the room. If the more of the ads that actually make it to the boss, that he does a giant burst of damage at the end that affects everyone in the raid, and it is affected by how many ads get to him. So often you will see teams either use immunities at this point, or they will actually have to kill the ads. With this particular setup, there really aren't too many immunities. I mean, there are some potential big healing cooldowns that could be used, though. But
it's not going to save your life against a one-shot build. We're definitely going to see Absolution just kill the ads off. They do have knockback, pushback, stuns, that kind of stuff. There we see one shockwave, I believe that was. They need to kill the ad, otherwise they could get the boss down to 15%, I believe, before he starts doing that AoE, but that is a tall order in this dungeon.
Yeah, we actually see Team Bigpull using different things like the actual grip coming in from their tank, so they actually were able to stack up the ads and take care of them much quicker. And you can see Team Bigpull, even though they got there a little bit late, their damage is going to be much higher here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that the rest of Druid actually doing a ton of damage compared to Absolution's Shaman that's doing basically no damage at all. So that might actually be one of the big things that Bigpull is having in their favor. The healer going super low though, but they are going to be able to finish this boss off faster, I believe. Absolution have those double executes coming in though, and actually get catching up and actually killing the boss before.
Yeah, so I think another thing to note though with the healer there, like, you don't need to keep everyone fully topped off, especially at that particular moment. If you can prioritize damage a little bit there, like during that boss fight, I think it makes a lot of sense for the rest of Druid to do that. You have plenty of time to top everyone off. Right now, you get to grab some food before you start doing these next pulls, but gonna have to be keeping an eye on the trash pulls. That's where the healing's gonna get really tough.
We saw the Shaman use Spirit Link Totem after that big AoE came out, or like doing it, so that everyone's HP is spread out. It makes it really easy to deal with a Grievous ability, which is kind of why I believe they're doing this in the first place, why they're running the Resto Shaman over a Druid or someone who can combat res, well, which would be Druid.
Yeah, I think Grievous is probably why they're trying to play Shaman as well. We're going to have to see how that does actually pan out for them as they start moving forward here. This is where the trash really starts to get difficult, though. It gets rough on this pool, and then just gets rougher and rougher leading up to that next boss. Man, this is going to get really gross.
Yeah, this is actually the first trash they actually end up doing because they skipped a bunch of it. But the sack actually going super low for Absolution, but they're pulling the spider with the champion, the first champion, and they're gonna make sure that they keep that champion stunned so he doesn't get his frontal cone attack off, because that will cause him to buff all the other mobs with more HP. Now we're also seeing Raging coming into play there. That spider is super buff, doing twice the damage right now, and they're just kiting a little bit back and forth, not really sure where they're going right now.
Yeah, and now they're going to be able to divert their attention back over to these humanoids that they pulled alongside of that spider. Not a pull that you see done too often, but Team Bigpull just zerging on through.
They had the hunter die though, and this is where it gets really, really dangerous. Now all of those mobs they're pulling here has Raging. They're going to completely destroy the tank if they get hit, and even the rogue also taking that cheat death proccing there as well. So this is very dangerous, and I believe that's why you would otherwise bring out two rogues.
I mean, this is when it starts to get really ugly. I mean, sometimes you'll see teams actually like use line of sight on this pull. The thing is just with Raging, you really want to be able to focus things down as quick as possible. Rogues definitely are good at doing that. And now Absolution just catching up, getting into the room that Team Bigpull has already gotten. They've already gotten that first pull down.
They're doing a super big pull though on Absolution. They pulled the pack right there the Bigpull just dealt with, and the pack that Bigpull is coming up towards right now. They do not have that mask up though. The Rogue, the Shaman going super low. Several people in their group going low as well. They're gonna have to do some really big healing cooldowns here to deal with this. And they had one death there from one of the warriors too. The second one almost dying as well from Absolution.
So this is the thing with the build that they actually have. Before we get to that, we have to point out the healer is going to go down for Bigpull here. This is just really tough trash. This is why picking this is definitely an interesting.
They don't have the healer. They have Grievous rolling out too. They're gonna probably end up wiping here.
Full wipe. I think there's pretty much no way that's not a full wipe. We saw Absolution go for that really big pull. I think that was them playing towards their comp, right? They have that double warrior. They can use all of their cooldowns, but you know, going for that big pull. With Fortified, you're not going to be able to get it down the same way. So we're going to just have full team wipes.
Yeah, Team Bigpull just full wipe. They have 8 deaths in total now, and Absolution made a bigger pull here than Team Bigpull, and it really did pay off for them as well. They now have 2 more champions that they need to deal with. The tank getting completely destroyed there. It needs to knock them away, make sure that they do not hit him, because they will hit him so hard. Gotta avoid that strike to frontal stun that you do not want to be caught on.
Yeah, the shockwaves definitely are going to be nice here as well. It's going to help the Druid kite quite a lot, but Team Bigpull now is really far behind after that full team wipe.
They're about a trash pack behind here. Absolution had a little bit of easier to pull there because it's part of a patrol as well, part of the pack that they did before. But now here we see the warriors really just come into play. They're just going to completely destroy these ads. Stun goes out as well. They don't get any casts off. They don't get their abilities off. So they're just going to die here really quickly. And the last 3 now are really enraged and are gonna do so much damage if they get to do anything. But that's the important part here. Keep them CC, keep them non-able to do stuff, and when they do, push back, stun if they don't have DR, but just make sure that they die fast without doing much.
Hope that they really stagger their cooldowns here, because this pool is also difficult. And you can see right now it's really the Rogue who's going to be picking up the slack for the Warriors, trying to take everything down. See a lot of damage coming out from their tank as well, but the Grievous really starting to stack up. We have to see, why did they bring Sleep if he does not have a utility to actually bring the Grievous back up? And look, is able to handle it.
Yeah, he's able to pick everyone back up. Only the tank is below 90% right now. They do have that commander, as this one is a little bit special. He does the same ability, but after that strike, as we see there, he's going to buff the rest of the group with more HP. So there's just so much more HP to deal with here. And meanwhile, I think Bigpull is 1 trash pack behind, but Absolution still having a lot to deal with in this trash pack, and the warrior going so low.
And now it's still with Grievous to take care of. I will say, though, the Shaman does seem to be shining with this affix. And you can see Bigpull has a lot of their work cut out with the more traditionally, you know, a lot of people saying Resto Druid just being one of the strongest healers. And just like that, we are going to see another member of Team Bigpull go down. That is their 9th death so far.
Yeah, that's the warrior dying too. He had probably used all his cooldown. We can see that on the damage meter. But right now, it looks like both of them has the commander left. So even if we thought it was a bigger discrepancy between these pools, between these packs, they're basically at the same point right now as well. And the only thing is in favor of Absolution, that Bigpull has so many deaths.
Yeah, I mean, that's 45 seconds. And those 9 deaths are going to add up to 45 seconds. It's a 40-second differential here. And now Absolution dealing with the last trash before they actually get over to Ilisana.
Yeah, and the Rogue going super low there actually as well. But these archers, you have to, there's so many trash here that you need to stun, interrupt, push back, anything you can do. Actually, I think a DK would have made a lot more sense than a Guardian Druid just because of the grip. Will also interrupt everything. Has a longer cooldown than Typhoon will, but just having everything on top of each other is just so much DPS gained for the whole group.
Yeah, I don't think that they need the damage that the Guardian Druid brings out. That's really the only thing that's going to be offering here that is different than that Death Knight. But they are zerging right now up to that boss, getting the pull in here. And Team Bigpull is in a position where they are just losing players left and right. They only have the Warrior left up right now to DPS the trash pool, and they have 1 Raging Mob that is just going to be doing massive amounts of damage onto the tank. The Warrior going to need to use some stuns here.
Yeah, and this is a very small pull as well. They had 3 deaths on this small pull now, and they got to try to finish the last one off, but he buffs himself with extra HP as well. So It's gonna take a long time, and now they're finally done there. The healer got there, he's gonna rest those players. Meanwhile, Absolution has 70% on the boss, and it's not a tyrannical key, so it should go down relatively easy as long as they keep the eye in check, you don't actually stand in the fire, and keep the ads interrupted.
Yeah, there are definitely mechanics that are not forgiving on this fight, though. So if they do have a misstep, it could go wrong very quickly. And most of the missteps are standing in fire. So
that Shaman's just gonna have to run back and forth as everyone else is in melee, being the only valid target for that eye beam. He's just gonna run.
Yeah, it's just that's the
just playing Snake.
third one that's actually going to be targeted onto Sleep, and you can see Sleep actually getting clipped there, taking a little bit of damage. So that eye beam targets one player, and as it follows that player, it leaves behind a trail of fire, and you can see Sleep just had to run around the entire time, and now that took up quite a lot of the space on the map, and that's going to affect the actual charge that the boss has.
Yeah, but Absolution are basically going to be killing the boss now. They're going to get another fell shot here on all three melee at the same time, so they're going to have to spread out, so they don't get clipped by each other. And they're all going super low. The cheat death proccing. It was a 1 HP as well before the cheat death.
See, that charge, when you don't have space, it just gets bad really quick, and that's why cheat death is just so valuable. We saw Jed almost going down there. Now Team Bigpull getting crazy amounts of damage on this boss, almost enough to catch them up, but with those 12 deaths, they do not only need to catch up, but they need to absolutely jump ahead of Absolution here.
Yeah, the Team Bigpull got the boss down at like 10% after she finished all her I-beam phase. Meanwhile, Absolution was way higher. However, here we see where Absolution is intending to skip, I believe. They didn't use the Shroud here, but they're just having two people run ahead. I wonder if they're going to do all this trash, make sure that those pull it, or if they're going to have the others sacrifice themselves and then rest them where it's safe, right where they have the Rogue and the Druid stand right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that you kind of are mentioning, right? We saw Rogues run ahead on Darkheart Thicket and actually run back, get a bigger pull going. I'm not sure, though. They're still waiting for the rest of their team to move forward with them. So we can take a look at Team Bigpull as they start working on their trash right now, and you can see big cooldowns being invested right here. Tree of Life being used by their Resto Druid. Now an absolutely massive pull coming in from Absolution, but the damage is so high onto the tank, and we can see the Warriors dropping relatively low too. But this is one of the other strengths of the Shaman, the Spirit Link going to come down. That is a huge DPS, or sorry, huge healing throughput cooldown, and that's going to allow him to keep his team relatively stable even through this Grievous Key. And a lot, but look at how much damage these Raging Ads can put out.
That is so much damage on the group, and especially like they do Whirlwinds, they do Frontal as well. If you don't kill them before they start raging, this is going to be very dangerous. I've never seen such a big pull in this instance though, so I'm very hyped about seeing this. However, it isn't as flawless as it would have hoped it was. Now those ads are going to start berserking as well, and if you don't stun them when they do their tank demolish ability, as we see right there, Brutal Assault, you're gonna we saw an instant interrupt there as well, which was perfectly timed, but they still have these mobs alive and they're running around. There's only like 3 mobs left though, so that was a huge pull that actually seemed to have paid off in great for Absolution, although the tank is almost dying now that these are raging.
I mean, Absolution doesn't even need to take risks, and I don't think that they viewed that as a risk. I think it's just how their comp functions based off of the way that they deal AoE damage with these warriors and with this rogue. Like, they want to be doing big pulls, and I think we see the Shaman playing into that strategy quite a bit, just rotating the big cooldowns, using the Shaman to its best ability, because that's the biggest strength about Shaman, I would say, is its cooldowns.
Yeah, I think I agree there, especially against the Grievous when people start taking damage. But they did a huge pull there, and it definitely did pay off. They had to wait around a little bit there, probably waiting around for cooldowns to come up so they have everything up so they can just demolish that pack. Meanwhile, Team Bigpull losing their tank there because of this raging ad that's killing the tank instantly, and also taking down the warrior. It's gonna have to kite the ranger, the melee are gonna start kiting now. Whoever has second on threat, and that's gonna be the rogue right now. It's gonna do death from above as well, trying to stay alive, and that was 2 deaths.
And it was not, it was pretty close. The rogue almost was taken down there as well, and Absolution has already made their way up even further, getting closer to Smash Spite. And Smash Spite going to be relatively easy to deal with here on the Fortified Key, but Skeeb gets really low. Sleeb actually going to go down here.
Gonna Ankh.
That's the Ankh, yeah. I mean, that's... Ankh is... It's obviously not going to be nearly as useful as having that battle res, but there's no reason not to use the Ankh here.
No, of course. They did have the battle res available too, I believe. Actually, I'm not sure. Absolution have had 3 deaths. But right on this pack here, it's very important to make sure that the pups are slowed at all times, and you want to make sure that they are not close to players that are ranged players, or even players at all, because once those Fell Guards cast a Dominate cast, they will start going for random players. They will not care about threat anymore, and they will just kill them. So either you kill the Fell Guards, or you make sure that you are far away from the pups when that cast comes out. And Absolution just being a little bit faster with his trash back. Team Bigpull had a death, I believe, there too on that trash, which is probably due to those Fell Bat pups killing off a person who just stand a little bit too close and not being able to kill them a bit, get killed off fast enough.
Yeah, now a lot of damage coming out to the entire group here from Smash Spite. With this boss in particular not being on Tyrannical, are there any mechanics in particular, Trekkie, that you think that they have to worry about?
The biggest thing here is, like, he does a big AoE damage on the whole raid, and he does his charge, so as long as those don't line up badly, they should be more than fine. We actually have the charge happen there on the Shaman, and then the warrior just standing in there with die by the sword and just taking that one. You can't actually parry it, so it doesn't deal any damage. You still get the debuff, so that if that warrior gets the next one, he's going to have someone else intercept the charge. And ask to not die, because it will do so much damage. Again, the Shaman having it, probably going to have someone else. They can have the Shaman soak himself, but they had the other warrior soak it now with, I believe, the same ability.
Yeah, and now we will see Team Bigpull has not even gotten to pull the boss yet. Absolution only 25% away from taking it down. And the Rogue just shining here again. I think it's pretty clear that Rogues are definitely something you want to be bringing to this M+ tournament.
Yeah, and Team Bigpull had a lot of issues with that trash. Killing a few players off, having those bats linger about. Meanwhile, Absolution having everyone take so much damage. Probably going to have some healing cooldowns come out here so that they can top everyone off, get that Grievous off. So talking a lot with when Jack was playing here, was casting as well, like, you gotta get those Grievous stacks off basically one by one. If you can have a cooldown, you can get it off several people at the same time. Otherwise, you want to make sure that you pick it off one by one so that it's gone. And even if they drop below 90%, it starts stacking up slowly. So it's 1, 2, 3 stacks instead. And Absolution now gonna see how big of a pull they do up to the last boss here, and they might even go all the way, I think.
So the thing is with the lead they have, they can take their time, but as we've mentioned throughout this dungeon several times, they have a composition that makes them want to go very all in and go for these big pulls. They can use all of their cooldowns, and also when you pull that first boss, you don't want to use your cooldowns until you actually get the buff that he puts out, because that's when your damage really starts to matter. So things like Ravager, things like Avatar, these short cooldowns, you want to just use them all now, use them on the trash pull, and we can see Absolution getting a pretty big pull here. Quite a few raging mobs. Got to be worried about the damage right now. Potentially using a cooldown will be Zach.
That is so dangerous, seeing all those trash mobs dying, going down basically at the same time, and all going at 30% at the same time, growing in size, and just like, if they start hitting the tank at the same time, it's gonna spell disaster. We did see a stun pretty timed around that too, so now they're pulling the Ravencrest boss, and this boss isn't really that difficult now that we have Fortified either, so I would be like, you could definitely make a misstep here with this beam that comes through. It will still do a lot of damage to you if you stand in it. Might even one-shot, even without Tyrannical here.
I will say Absolution though, just like a beautiful pull on that trash, and this was their map pick as well. Like, and this is a key that it can be really difficult on that trash. Zach taking quite a bit of damage here with Grievous, but Sleep should be able to get him back up. I think that this is one of the ones that is difficult with that trash, but they have a composition that is tailored to it. They do it very well. They used all their cooldowns leading into this fight, and now when they do get to this fight here, they're going to have their cooldowns back up after we actually see the true boss emerge.
We also see Team Bigpull not actually doing as big pulls as Absolution is doing. They're going for a smaller pull here, and they're still going to have another pack to go for after these are dead. Meanwhile, Absolution now getting to the Dreadlord phase. of Ravencrest. And this is the first Shadow Bolt here. We're going to see everyone dropping low. Healer is going to be healing everyone out. That Spirit Link Totem is going to make sure everyone gets high at the same time and just be able to get those chain heals off so that everyone goes above 90%. He's still struggling, so we'll see if Team Bigpull can do the same with a... Well, they do have a Trank, so maybe that would be enough to stabilize fast enough.
Yeah, there's some pretty big cooldowns that the Druid can use to help stabilize. Now that the main thing is, though, is Absolution just has to do this dance, and after we actually see the boss pop back up after this phase, they should be able to take it down very easily, very quickly. And Team Bigpull finally getting to this final trash pull.
Yeah, they haven't even started pulling the boss yet, and Absolution...
Ooh, this is the same thing that we saw going on for Absolution. So many raging mobs. We're going to have to see how well that they can control these mobs and prevent the damage being done. Their warrior absolutely lighting up the meter, but wow, the boss already down to 50% health here for Absolution, but some serious pressure coming out onto the Rogue. He is able to preserve that cheat death. Some raid-wide damage going out that Sleeve can heal up pretty easily, and he should have his cooldowns back online at this point.
Yeah, it's not a bad fight either for these affix. This is Raging Grievous and Fortified, and really only Grievous that does anything on this fight, and one person goes a little bit low. He does summon a stinging swarm, I believe, on top of a person, and he generally just run into the boss, get that one cleaved down, so you can, because that's the only kind of raid damage you take in this fight, outside of just standing in purely in bad, or when he does a Shadow Bolt volley.
Yeah, the Shadow Bolt volley tends to be one of the most scary of those as well. One that can do quite a lot of damage, and there are some snowbally things that can happen too if people do go down initially and don't get their buff. Now Team Bigpull is going to be on top of the boss now as well, but Absolution is able to get it down, and Team Bigpull would have needed to kill it just so much faster with that 15 deaths.
All right, Absolution, we see you. That is a tie series 1-1. And guys, I went into this saying I want to see a curveball from them. I want to see something that's just a little outlandish. I want to see them get Bigpull out of their comfort zone. And that is exactly what they did. They went in there, they said, I'm taking you to Black Rook Hold. Nobody wants to go to Black Rook Hold. We're taking you there. We're drafting a